Let me ask Lauren to start the meetings. We have
Hey,
barely
New
made
York,
it.
do you have your mics on? We're having a really hard time hearing you.
Oh, no.
How about now? I think
Much
they work
better,
better.
Let's
thank
try
you.
that again.
They work better when they're turned on.
Yeah. Can you, how's that? We're going to try that again. Good morning, everybody in Albany. Can you hear us?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, Ruth Ann, part of her duty as commissioner is to actually turn on the microphones. And so as she fulfills that obligation, the sound gets remarkably better. Great. Well, good morning. I'm going to turn to Lauren, who will take all those steps that we always have to take to make the meetings official. Lauren,
Okay.
have at it.
I note that Jesse Olzak, representing the Director of the Division of the Budget, and Chris Curtis, representing the Commissioner of Taxation and Finance, are participating in the meeting via video conference from the New York State Division of the Budget Conference Center at the Capitol Building, room 131 in Albany. And Nipathaida Gonzalez is participating from the Syracuse Regional Office, 620 Erie Boulevard, Suite 312. Notice of these locations has been made public, and the public has the right to attend and observe the proceedings from either location. So we will start by open the HFA, AHC, and HTFC meetings. I would ask for a motion to open those meetings.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. I will now ask for individual votes from each HFA, HTFC, AHC board member. Chairman Adams.
Aye.
Ms. Wisniewski.
Aye.
Mr. Curtis.
Aye.
Mr. Olzak.
Aye.
Mr. Gonzalez, Ms. Gonzalez, sorry. And Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
I will ask for a motion for the HFA Finance and Program Committee
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
We will accept the prior votes of Chairman Adams, Ms. Wisniewski, and Mr. Olzak. I will ask for a motion for the HTFC Audit Committee
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
We will accept the prior votes of Chairman Adams, Mr. Curtis, and Mr. Olzak. And finally, I'll ask for a motion for the HTFC Governance Committee
So moved.
and a second.
Second.
Thank you. We will accept the prior votes of Chairman Adams, Mr. Curtis, and Mr. Olzak.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Welcome again. And thanks, Lauren. We're going to move to the HTFC Audit, Governance, and Board agendas. First thing on the Audit Committee agenda, number one. First item on the Audit Committee agenda is approval of the minutes of the Audit Committee meeting held on March 14th, 2024. The minutes shall be deemed approved, absent corrections from members and directors. Everybody good? The Governance Committee, there's an item, number one, ratification of the resolution authorizing an amendment to the Housing Trust Fund Corporation procurement and contract guidelines to include a federal supplement. Does this go to Sarah?
This goes to Sarah, yes.
Yep. So this item was approved by written resolution on April 15th, 2024, pursuant to Article 3, Section 5 of the HTFC bylaws. Amy Zamanek is present to present or to answer any questions on this item, and the memo and resolution can be found in the board materials. Absent any questions, we will ask the Governance Committee members to ratify this item.
Good, thank you very much. Lauren, that's you.
I think this is actually stays
Sarah.
with Sarah.
Yep.
To mute the.
Okay. Now before the HTFC Governance Committee is the ratification of the resolution authorizing an amendment to the Housing Trust Fund Corporation procurement and contract guidelines to include a federal supplement. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC Governance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution ratified.
Thank you, Sarah. Resolution number two is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the bylaws of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Stacey's going to do this.
Good morning, everyone. Before the members today is a request to amend Article 7, Section 3 of the bylaws to reflect an operational change that we implemented during the COVID pandemic in 2020. This change allows for warrants that go to tax and finance to be signed by the treasurer or one of my agents only, instead of requiring the signature of a senior officer. We recommend this because we have implemented all sorts of internal controls procedures that document approvals, multi-level approvals in every program area. before they even get to finance for payment. And then within finance, we have internal controls that require a minimum of 2 people to review any payment transactions before finally being signed by me or one of my designees and being sent over to tax and finance, who actually makes the payment on our behalf. The warrant is simply a direction to tax and finance to make those payments. So at this time, I am requesting approval to make this minor modification to the bylaws to reflect the warrants requiring a single signature for the corporation. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions? We should check in with our representative tax and finance. Chris, is Chris okay with this?
I am. Thanks, Ken.
All right, how you doing? Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. Good morning.
Say hi to Amanda when you have a chance.
I will do that.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Let's make it happen.
So Sarah?
Yes, Sarah, you can
If
do
you
that.
can,
Now before the HTFC Governance Committee is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the bylaws of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC Governance Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
We are having a little fire.
There, yeah, sorry for the background noise. It's the fire safety officer testing the system. Seems to happen once a month, usually on days when we meet. Now, this is to the board. Item 1, first item, the HTFC agenda is approval of minutes of meetings held on March 14th and April 11th. The minutes shall be deemed approved absent corrections from members and directors. Again, now we're with the full board. 2, ratification of the following resolutions. Resolution authorizing Community Development Economic Development Program Awards. Resolution authorizing an amendment to a Downtown Revitalization Initiative Award for the Development Shenango Corporation. And a resolution authorizing an amendment to a +1 ADU Program Award for Ulster County and the City of Kingston. Also, resolution authorizing Section 8 project-based voucher awards. A resolution authorizing bipartisan infrastructure law weatherization temporary sub-grantee contracts. A resolution authorizing amendments to the professional temporary staff and consultant services contracts with LanceSoft, Inc. and 22nd Century Technologies, Inc. Resolution authorizing an extension of the contract with Rapid Construction and Management without a new competitive award process. And a resolution authorizing an amendment to the Housing Trust Fund Corporation procurement and contract guidelines to include a federal supplement, which I think we just looked at the committee level. Sarah, back to you.
These items were approved by written resolution on April 16th, 2024, pursuant to Article 3, Section 5 of the HTFC bylaws. Program staff for each item are present to answer any questions on these items, and the memos and resolutions can be found in the board materials. Absent questions, we will ask the members to ratify these items now.
Any questions from members about these items? Remember, these are kind of carryover from last time when, again, law requires because we did it online or virtually, that we have this chance to discuss them in front of directors today. But if there aren't any questions or no desire for discussion, we can move ahead. Sarah?
Now before the HTFC members is the ratification of the following items. Resolution authorizing Community Development Economic Development Program Awards. Resolution authorizing an amendment to a Downtown Revitalization Initiative Award for the Development Shenango Corporation. Resolution authorizing an amendment to a +1 ADU Program Award for Ulster County and the City of Kingston. Resolution authorizing Section 8 project-based voucher awards. Resolution authorizing bipartisan infrastructure law weatherization temporary sub-grantee contracts. Resolution authorizing amendments to the professional temporary staff and consultant services contracts with LanceSoft, Inc. and 22nd Century Technologies, Inc. Resolution authorizing an extension to the contract with Rapid Construction Management without a new competitive award process. And a resolution authorizing an amendment to the Housing Trust Fund Corporation procurement and contract guidelines to include a federal supplement. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution is ratified.
You know, I don't know. We're going to use a timer and see who reads faster, the chairman or Sarah. We read the exact same text. You did a great job. And thank you, directors, for your support. Item 3, resolution authorizing an amendment to the Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program Award for the Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity. Thomas. Where is Thomas? Oh, hey, he's right here. I'm looking at the TV screen. Shame on me.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Morning.
So this is an amendment to an award that was previously presented and adopted in October. This is an award for Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity. The initial approved award was for $555,000. We're now requesting an increase to $630,000, which is a 13% increase over the baseline. This is due to the fact that the project timing pushed out. They initially had it in their sort of 2023 build season when they could use some volunteer labor. It's been pushed into 2024 where they're going to have to subcontract out more of the work. And so some of those hard costs came up as they sort of revised everything. Just very brief reminder, this is 4 homes. It's infill development in the Beechwood neighborhood of Rochester. Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity, our borrower, and the participating lender is Greater Rochester Housing Partnership. These are all 3 bedrooms and all priced for households under 80% of AMI. We're pretty close to closing this one. We think likely in late May or early June.
What's the like? They have some sort of seasonality till how many volunteers they have to work on their builds?
So yeah, they schedule out their seasons where they can sort of fill in gaps with volunteer labor. Initially, it was in 2023, pushed to 2024, and so they already had a full schedule for those folks.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Good, thank you, Tom. Sarah?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program Award for the Greater Rochester Habitat for Humanity. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Terrific. Number 4 is a resolution authorizing a Legacy City Access Program Award for Aurora Window Systems and Contracting, Inc. And Burke, Blackman's going to do this one.
I'm guessing maybe Madeline's doing
Or
it.
maybe Madeline.
Hi, yes, we made a little last minute
Burke.
switch. Burke's doing is at NISAFA. This request is for $900,000 in subsidy for the first Legacy City project proposed by the Buffalo Erie Niagara Land Improvement Corporation, or BENLIC. They have selected New York State MBE certified developer Aurora Window Systems and Contracting as their BIPOC developer. There will be 3 vacant homes renovated into first-time homebuyer opportunities. 2 of the homes will also have accessory rental units created. So the total development cost is just over $1.6 million with the Legacy City subsidy averaging $150,000 per unit. The sales for the homes will range from $130,000 to $200,000 per home and are affordable under and about 40 to 55% AMI and represent a bit of a discount to market. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any questions on this item, number 4? If not, Sarah, let's do it, please.
Now before the HTFC board is a resolution authorizing a Legacy City Access Program Award for Aurora Window Systems and Contracting, Inc. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, terrific. Number 5 is a resolution authorizing Community Development and Economic Development Program Awards, and Crystal's going to walk us through this one this morning.
Good morning. The Office of Community Renewal is requesting approval to make 5 new CDBG Economic Development Program awards. With board approval, we will award a total of $988,856 among 5 awardees, including the City of Lockport, Greene County, Madison County, Oneida County, and the town of Busti in Chautauqua County. This funding will support 3 local microenterprise assistance programs, the expansion of an existing restaurant, and development of a new restaurant and brewery in a formerly vacant building. Full details are in the memo and briefing sheets, but I'm happy to answer any questions from the members.
Have you ever done anything in the town of Busti?
Well, it's funny you mention that. I've never heard of it before. I had to ask and try to confirm the pronunciation.
It seemed like a new entrance to your world, Crystal. So interesting.
Yes.
That's great.
Wait, that's not the brewery.
Let's see. Which was the one?
No, the brewery.
in Busti?
What county is it?
It is. I believe it is.
It's the brewery, right?
It's the only town left that doesn't have a brewery in it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just kidding. That's great.
That we funded.
Yeah, Livingston County. Very good. Great, thank you, Crystal.
No, Chautauqua County, isn't it? Where's Busti?
Chautauqua.
Chautauqua, yeah.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Great. Can we give this to Sarah to make it real?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing community development economic development program awards. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you. Let's do 6 rather. Resolution authorizing amendments to the Land Bank Initiative Award amendments. Back to you, Crystal.
Thanks. More than $100 million has been allocated in the last 3 New York State budgets to support the services and expenses of land banks. We have offered 2 phases of funding for existing land banks, including operational support in the first phase and funding for acquisition and capital activities in the second phase. Approximately $37 million has been committed to date. Given the slow rate of expenditure among the land banks, we're delaying the release of a full new request for applications, but we do want to offer the land banks that are successfully completing projects an opportunity to access more of the funding that's available. We have received requests from several land banks for additional funding to complete additional projects. So this month we're requesting board approval to award an additional $1.7 million to the Oswego County Land Bank and the Kingston City Land Banks. With board approval, we will amend their existing grant agreements and allow them to commit funds locally for additional projects. Details are in the memo, and I'm happy to answer any questions from the members.
Well, I'm going to go to James on this one because he's our biggest institutional fan of land banks. Questions, James?
Why has Kingston been successful when others have not been successful?
Good question.
I don't mean to suggest that none of them are successful. I think it's just kind of a slow spend.
More rapidly able to deploy capital. Like, for example, do they have a different set of programs versus other land banks? Or is it like are we seeing models emerge that are really effective for for converting land into different sort of construction? Crystal?
In Kingston, they're acting as their own developer to stabilize and rehab properties throughout the city. So they have taken on some large-scale, complex projects, and so they do need additional money to take on additional units there. Similar with Oswego, the costs are just a little bit lower in Oswego, but they are successfully stabilizing and rehabbing projects. I don't know if there's anything extra other than they're serving as their own developer.
I think that's interesting is how do you actually fund technical assistance for creating more development within turn land banks into developers if they're able to do it successfully.
Right.
It probably saves them money on doing the work. But anyways.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you for the question because I think, they're land banks. They're not supposed to be money banks, right? They're supposed to just keep the money and put it in their local bank account. They're supposed to be doing stuff. All right. Thanks, Crystal, for that update. Sarah, do you want to make this? Let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing amendments to Land Bank Initiative Awards. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Terrific. 7, resolution authorizing additional funding for local administrators receiving federal family self-sufficiently grant awards. Dan Byer. Where's Dan?
Buffalo.
Is Dan on the phone?
Syracuse.
Oh, there he is.
Syracuse.
Oh, we saw you before. We saw you when B was checking in. It's true. You were there. All right, Dan, what's going on here?
A little bit of an administrative item. HCR participates enthusiastically in the Federal Family Self-Sufficiency Program for our Section 8 voucher program. We get grant funds from HUD every year to do this. And mostly we divide those grant funds up among our 25 local administrators, I believe 17 of which participate in FSS. The LAs use those funds to hire staff who help the families participating in the program develop goals, create savings accounts, and move forward. However, the program doesn't include indirect costs, and it helps if our LAs have some additional funds in addition to covering staffing to cover things like marketing and promotions and outreach and travel. We are proposing to use our own administrative reserve to bridge this gap and offer the local administrators participating a indirect rate of up to 10% of their share of the grant. This will give the LAs a little bit more resources to work with and hopefully make their programs more successful at a relatively small cost to us, which we can afford.
All right. Sounds good.
Great.
Any questions? Let's do it. Sarah, can you do it, please?
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing additional funding for local administrators receiving federal family self-sufficiency grant funds. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Good. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Dan. Dan has another item. It's number 8, resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with CGI Federal, Inc. Would you do that for us, Dan,
Great.
please?
Sure. Proud to acknowledge that, first of all, our emergency housing voucher allocation is fully utilized. 1,566 vouchers. We've used them all. However, the obligations of the program continue. We have to conduct certifications on these families each year and inspect the units just as we would in the Housing Choice Voucher Program. CGI has been the administrator for this program as it is temporary in nature, and we wish to continue that contract for another year. So on your desk is a resolution to continue that contract and extend the funding for it.
Okay, good. Any questions? Then Sarah, let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with CGI Federal, Inc. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dan and Sarah. 9 is a resolution authorizing a preventive troubled asset program award for Parkside Development, Inc. to be presented by Jason, who just joined us.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm before you today to request approval for a $1.2 million preventive trouble asset program, or PTAP loan, for Parkside Development, which is a Mitchell Llama co-op in the Bronx. Specifically, or I should say PTAP funds, I've been before the board to talk about these, but they're funds that are used specifically for urgent, exigent health and safety needs. And in this particular case, this is to fund local law 11 work, which you might be familiar with. It's a city requirement that requires facade inspections and corrections on every 7-year cycle. In this case, specifically, the work is overdue and is a particularly unique situation in that if the work is not initiated soon, it could result in a partial vacate order in a worst case scenario. Which could result in displacement. Obviously, we don't want that to happen. So that's the main driver of this award. I'll say that we also think that there's another source in place to cover these funds. So to some extent, I think this might be an advanced kind of bridge loan in order to get that work moving sooner rather than later. And we're also in communication with DOB to try and make sure that the partial vacate isn't affected to that extent in the first place. So we're coming at this from a couple different directions, but we would request authorization of this award in particular just to give comfort to the contractors in place there and enable the work to get started.
Great. Okay. Any questions? Then let's do it, Sarah, please.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing a preventative troubled asset program award for Parkside Development, Inc. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
I'm sure this facility was set up for a reason, when it was created, but sort of good thing we have it, because otherwise, what would you do?
Yes.
Right? Like, this building would be in a lot of trouble and there'd be no source of funding for this kind of emergency repair to the facade, right?
Yes.
So whoever it was that came up with the PTAP,
I believe it was Rebecca Sepnick. Oh, really? Okay.
Clever. At the time we probably said, what? What do you need that for? And here it is. All right, some thoughtful planning went into that. That's why it's called preventative. So let's do did we make that real? We did, right?
I don't know. Did we vote on that, Sarah?
Sarah, did we vote on that, Sarah? Chairman,
On
sorry.
the PTAP award, yes, we did.
Yes,
Okay, good.
yes.
So we're going to go to
Yep.
10, a resolution authorizing a subrecipient agreement with Nassau County. Amy Chan, 2%. Where's,
She's coming.
Amy's here, good. Good morning.
Good morning.
Living with the Bay.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Amy Chan with the Office of Resilient Homes and Communities. So the item before you is a request to approve a new subrecipient agreement with Nassau County for $15,756,227 for a term of 3 years to fund marsh restoration activities in Hempstead Bay. The restoration will be funded through a $10 million grant that was just awarded to RHC through the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, and the remainder of the funds, $5,756,227 from RHC's Living with the Bay program. So the construction is expected to begin this summer of 2025, with project completion in December of 2026. Design and environmental permitting for the marsh restoration is already completed. This marsh restoration project grew out of RHC's Long Beach consolidation project within Hempstead Bay. The consolidation project includes construction activity along within the bay, and as such, RHC and Nassau County identified marsh restoration as needed to include to further fortification in the bay. And so the project will not extend the timeline of the Living with the Bay project. They will both are expected to conclude in December 2026. And so we're asking for your approval to approve the subrecipient agreement with Nassau County.
Amy, how's the rebuilding of the sewage treatment plant in Long Beach going?
It is.
That's a big part of this, right?
It is a big project. It is underway, and it is expected to complete in December 2026.
This is like, I was one of the lucky officials since right after Sandy to go to Long Beach and see the devastation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know, we were deployed all over after, you know, those of us in the governor's cabinet at the time. And I did a lot of the, you know, they were very difficult, but they were sort of like, you go to see people who were living in their cars, whose homes were, Long Beach was like, there was sand all over the city of Long Beach. And the mayor, Jack Schneerman, that's how I got to know him, and the sewage treatment plant, Long Beach, so Long Beach is, you know, it's really like a barrier island. So you got bay on one side, bay on the other side, and that's, the whole thing was just, it was amazing, the devastation. It was really awful. And yeah, you'll appreciate this because you're in government, you go out, and it's really that high. I'm from the government, I'm here to help, and you have no way to help other than taking your shovel out of your car and trying to, really, really hard. So yeah, it takes a long time. That's 12 years ago. But the sewage treatment plant was key. It was, all this was built at grade, and all of it's susceptible to high water and flooding. So I think good that we're helping out. And reminder of like two things. One, it's so expensive to do this work. It's really important, but unfortunately, it could happen again, you know? If you think of the Army Corps project of the rebuilding a lot of the barrier islands, all of the southern shore of Long Island, billions of, what, over $1 billion, it's already washed away. Like, it, you know, like you put sand and it doesn't stay there.
Yeah, well, no, remember, we also took, so the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, now we sort of integrated into the agency in a way where now it's applying for new grants to administer new, which is great. It's a way that it's not just for Sandy.
We've funded affordable housing, especially senior housing in Long Beach, in the city of Long Beach, right? So we have projects there. So this is in a way doubling down on the infrastructure to hopefully it's, you know, secure some long.
I would say they're growth friendly in Long Beach also. They are looking to build more housing.
At an agency level, I know that the report came out from the AG's office and the agency on insurance costs for affordable housing. We know they're escalating.
Yep.
They're probably going to be worse for places on Long Island. The question is, like, are we having conversations? If this is a big infrastructure project that's supposed to improve resiliency, are there conversations with the insurers about, like, if you do this, we will start to, like, you know, not jack up your policy? And then, like, I don't know if, like, this is like a huge infrastructure project that's supposed to improve resiliency.
You would hope at the federal level, the same federal agencies that funding resiliency would talk to the federal flood insurance programs, right? And the sort of mapping of flood zones and who knows if that actually happens. Good question, James.
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah, and I bet it's hard for people to get flood insurance. You know, I can't get flood insurance in Long Beach. All right. Well, you know, Amy's doing her best to present this item, and I don't have anything more to say about it. Anybody have any questions or comments on number 10? If not, Sarah, let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members
Should I
is a
ask?
resolution authorizing a subrecipient agreement with Nassau County, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great. Amy, thank you very much. Good project. Keep us posted as they plant all those grasses. Next one, 11, resolution authorizing a technical assistance contract with MPACT or MPACT Strategic Consulting LLC. Amy, the microphone goes back to you.
Thank you. So this item is to approve a contract for technical assistance services with MPACT Strategic Consultant LLC for amount not to exceed $1 million in a term of 3 years with the option to for 2 one-year renewals. The technical assistance services are to be provided for the implementation of RHC's Hurricane Ida long-term recovery programs funded by CDBG DR funding. HTFC issued an RFP for TA services in February of this year and received 11 proposals, 5 of which were from either MBE, WBE, or SDVOB firms. A selection committee reviewed and scored the proposals, invited the top 3 firms to interview, and because there were actually 2 firms tied for the 3rd highest score, we interviewed 4 firms, and those firms were GrantWorks, Horn, TeleQ, and Impact. These 4 firms were then scored, and 2 tied for the highest score. So then we went and provided a case study to the top 2 firms, which were Impact and Horn. Following their responses from the case study, we scored again, and MPAC was selected with the highest score. So we are recommending getting into contract with MPAC for providing these TA services. MPAC, as well as 2 of their subcontractors, are MBE or MWBE firms.
Okay, good. Any questions for Amy on this procurement? Sarah, let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing a technical assistance contract with MPACT Strategic Consulting LLC, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Terrific. Thank you. Thanks, Amy. Number 12, a resolution authorizing an amendment to the bylaws of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. This item, you will recall, because it wasn't long ago, was presented at the Governance Committee meeting. Absent any questions to the members, it's time to move this to a vote. Of course, if there are any questions, speak now. Sarah, I don't hear any, so let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the bylaws of the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Good, thank you very much. 13 is a resolution approving a payroll processing service contract with Automated Data Processing. Some people call that ADP. Stacy Mickle will present it. Good morning, Stacy.
Good morning. Good morning again, everyone. Now before you, I would like to request approval for a 5-year agreement with Automated Data Processing, also known as ADP. It's a pricing agreement that gives us a discount for the payroll services. ADP has been our payroll servicing provider for more than 20 years, and we would like to continue to utilize ADP. We have no issues with them. They process things very timely for us. They handle a lot of work for us. And we feel that this single source procurement is the best path forward to ensure continued uninterrupted processing of payroll services. I am happy to answer any questions that you may have, but assuming you have none, I would like your approval to enter into a 5-year payment processing agreement with ADP.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Any questions about this? Then let's give it to Sarah to make it real.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution approving a payroll processing services contract with Automatic Data Processing, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you all. Number 14, a resolution authorizing a signatory for the Housing Trust Fund Corporation. Patrick Love will present this item.
Good morning. So Russell Hubley is our new head of the 4% team. Sometimes older HTFC properties come over to us. We need to resubordinate existing mortgages, amend regulatory agreements, and he needs signatory authority in order to sign off on those documents.
You trust Russell to do that?
Wholeheartedly.
You think it's okay?
Absolutely.
All right then. Any questions? Okay. That makes sense. And we trust Russell, as we do. Sarah, let's do it.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing a signatory for the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Get Russell a new pen. Number 15, resolution authorizing amendment to the contract with Mindlance, Inc. This item was sent to board members under separate cover. I think we got a separate, it was an extra item that came in our emails. And Dan is we're gonna go back to Syracuse and check in with Dan for this one.
Thanks. The Housing Choice Voucher Program had a temp worker who was assisting us with the Emphasis Elite implementation. As you may remember, Emphasis Elite went live in October. The temp is no longer with us, and we are moving towards hiring permanent staff to fill those roles. However, unbeknownst to me, before the temp left, we slightly exceeded the maximum contract amount, so we need an amendment to extend the amount just a little bit to cover the last of the bills.
Well, that's clear. Thank you. Understood. Thank you very much, Dan. Any questions for Dan on this? The amendment to the contract? Then let's have Sarah please make it official.
Now before the HTFC members is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the contract with Mindlance, Inc., assuming the first and second previously entered for the HTFC board. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, very good. The remainder of our items this morning are informational. There'll be no presentation unless requested by the board members. We're talking about 16, which is a review of seeker concur actions. 17 is a review of seeker type 2 actions from April and May. 18 is a quarterly review of the Climate Friendly Homes Fund. And 19 is a review of the current energy procurement contracts that Lisa always presents for us, that long list you should review, which are the procurements that are in the lobbying restricted period for the months of April and May 2024. If there are no questions about any of these items that are kind of just informational, we can move ahead. All right. So now we're going to move to items on the HFA and AHC agenda. We've got some good projects to look at all around the state this morning. The first item, hey, you didn't give a chairman's report. Or what are you?
Well,
I was going to. You didn't give a president's report. I don't have a report.
Because we have so much stuff on the agenda,
You wait till
I was going
later?
to potentially skip it. Also, with I think Sadie and Joyce out, maybe I'll hold it.
Yeah, fine. Yeah,
I mean,
that's good. And also, if we were going to do it, we'd wait for some SONYMA audience, which we don't
We
have
could do
yet.
that also. So I thought maybe we didn't have enough time this month. Maybe I'll do it next month.
Look, the Albany team is leaving.
Yeah, they don't
Wow.
hear my report here.
Wow, they don't. Have a great day. All right. Well, let's move ahead, as I say, with HFA AHC. Number 2, and these are items that require HFA Finance and Program Committee and HFA member action simultaneously. Resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and of HFA. Did I skip something, Lauren?
Just skip the minutes if you would.
Oh,
Sneak
I'm
those
so
back in
sorry.
there before we
The
go
first
on.
item are the minutes from the board books. They're in the board books. The minutes from our last meeting, and they shall be deemed approved unless anybody has any objections, questions, or comments. Dan's getting up to leave. That's how he feels about those minutes. Anybody else? Okay, no questions about the minutes. Thank you, Lauren, for catching that. We can deem them approved. And now move on to item 2 on the HFA-HC agenda. Resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and of the HFA members themselves, authorizing and approving issuance of tax-exempt or taxable fixed or variable rate bonds in one or more bond series in an amount not to exceed $77,095,000 and an amount not to exceed $48,487,732 in HFA subsidy funding. That's a lot of subsidy funding. This is a big project. An amount not to exceed $1,065,000 of someone else's money. That'd be NYSERDA Clean Energy Initiative funds. And the project known as the Troy Housing Authority Preservation Bundle 2. And I think it's the last bundle, right? That's what we call it, Bundle 2, but it's the final bundle of the Troy Housing Authority rehab work that we're doing in the city of Troy, Rensselaer County. Russell, with his promotion, his new signing pen here before us, there it is, to walk us through this important project in Troy.
Great. I will be relatively brief compared to my previous storytelling. Troy Bundle 2, obviously it's the second of two phases. We closed Bundle 1 last October. We had Troy Housing Authority and MDG, who's the developer, split the project up really for financial considerations. You know, in total, we're talking over 700 units, and it represents about 65% of the Troy Housing Authority's entire portfolio. So it's a very ambitious, very aggressive redevelopment project for the agency and for Troy. So this is the second and final phase. The agency closed in October, the first phase. This one will involve 4 separate properties. 2 of them are designated historic landmarks. It's a total of 341 units in 52 buildings in total. Wow. Corliss Park, one of them is built in 1952. Grand Street Apartments was built in the 1860s after the Great Fire of Troy in 1862. Those are the 2 historic landmark designated properties. The Housing Authority acquired the buildings in the 1980s. Margaret Phelan and Catherine Sweeney Apartments are the other 2 properties. They were built in 1971. All the buildings are sort of townhome style, 2- and 3-story walk-up type buildings. The developer, again, is a partnership between the Troy Housing Authority and MDG. Like the first phase, the Housing Authority retains legal ownership of the property, and they lease the project to the borrower over a 99-year ground lease. The Housing Authority will continue to operate the properties, and they will become the sole borrower after MDG's departure after the end of the 5-year historic tax credit compliance period. So they're getting historic tax credits because of the historic landmark status. MDG is also the general contractor. They've done excellent work with the agency on other projects similar to this one, including the previous bundle. The scope of rehab will further preserve and extend the project's useful life. They'll provide for handicap accessibility and adaptability where there hadn't been, preserve historic significance of the properties, and provide improvements to energy efficiency. Specifically, the 2 non-historic properties, Margaret Phelan and Catherine Sweeney, will qualify for the Clean Energy Initiative program, as you mentioned earlier, for existing buildings. So that's full electrification of the heating and hot water systems. All properties, there'll be replacement of the gas stoves with electric ones, new Energy Star appliances, LED light fixtures, apartments and common areas. In sum total, the project will be designed to meet the sustainability guidelines for our moderate rehab, which includes a 20% overall reduction in energy use across the board. Renovations are expected to take place over a course of 27 months. No tenants will be displaced as a result of the rehabilitation. Thank you.
Are the ones built in the 70s, Phelan, and the other one, are they getting new roofs as well?
Yeah, there's some roof repair and roof replacement.
Do you know why they're not doing solar? If they're going all electric, it would seem like solar would make sense there.
Probably a cost consideration. The buildings are narrow too.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a roof consideration because the buildings are rather narrow. They're sort of barrack style. I believe that's probably why there was just not a design of availability for it.
Okay. There are models being done. Like I know, like Housing Authority in East Hampton, I think, is looking at community solar for residents. So for folks, the fact that there is, I think, methodologies given the rooftops to like weave either geothermal or solar into these types of projects given the campus style. And it'll offset the electric that's going to the tenant too. Potentially. I don't know.
Well, so when the project's done, what's the role of the Housing Authority?
They operate and continue to maintain. It's not technically public housing anymore.
Because who own after this?
But they still own the project. So the Public Housing Authority essentially becomes the tax credit owner of the property. They retain legal ownership of the land. They lease the project to the borrower. And then they, over a period of time, they assume full ownership of the borrowing entity and the legal entity. But they benefit from the tax credits. So essentially, the Public Housing Authority becomes a developer. So it's maintained as
Public Housing Authority, they're not subject to any kind of pilot, or they don't even have to worry about property taxes.
Right. They have a very healthy real estate tax abatement
with the city of Troy. Yeah, in the school district. Yeah, school district must go crazy. Okay. Oh, great. Any questions? Big important project in Troy. And this is the second of 2. The first one in the fall.
Yeah.
And then we're done.
Then we're done.
At least with.
Unless they come back with the next 40% of their portfolio.
Great, thank you. Any other questions for Russell? If not, Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the Finance and Program Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Good, thank you very much. 3, resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee of the HFA members authorizing and approving the issuance of tax-exempt and/or taxable fixed or variable rate bonds in one or more bond series in an amount not to exceed $46,210,000 and amount not to exceed $19,949,441 in HFA subsidy funding and an amount not to exceed $902,000 in NYSERDA Clean Energy Initiative funds for the project known as the Golden Hill, City of Kingston in, of course, Ulster County. And Terrence is going to present this.
Hey,
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
So Golden Hill is a formerly Ulster County jail site. The structures were already been demolished. This is a 20-acre site. According to a study done by the county in 2021, the Housing Action Plan identified the redevelopment of the site as a key step to improve the housing needs of the neighborhood. So the project is going to have 7 buildings. 6 of them is going to be residential. 1 of them is a non-residential building to house the community space, daycare facility, and then a gym. One of the buildings is an 80-unit building, which will be housing all the seniors. The rest of the units are going to be for families. Unit types will be ranging from 1 to 3 bedroom units. Affordability is going to be ranging from 30% AMI to 80% of AMI. There will also be 48 ESHI units. The population will be for frail seniors and also for the survivors of domestic violence. The Family of Woodstock, which is a nonprofit founded in 1970. They are the ESHI awardee and will provide services to these ESHI populations. They have experience running emergency, homeless, and domestic violence shelters. They are also the co-developer, and they are also in the borough entity. Penrose will be also the co-developer and the management company for the project. Haynes is a GC for the project. Penrose and Haynes, they all have experience with the agency financing. Hudson Housing Capital is going to be the syndicator for the federal low-income housing tax credits and the state low-income housing credits. Webster Bank is going to provide a letter of credit for credit enhancement for the bonds during construction. SONYMA is going to be providing a mortgage insurance for the permanent mortgage. That wraps up my description.
Very helpful, thank you. Any questions? Any questions for Terrence on this? Great to convert a long ago abandoned jail, which I think I've seen actually. Terrific. If there are no questions, Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the Finance and Program Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried and the resolutions adopted.
Thank you. Number 4, resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and of the HFA members authorizing and approving the issuance of tax-exempt or taxable fixed or variable rate bonds in one or more bond series in an amount not to exceed $126,145,000 and amount not to exceed $32,059,498 in a HFA subsidy funding, and amount not to exceed $176,800 in federal housing trust fund program loan funds, and an amount not to exceed $1,500,000 in NYSERDA Clean Energy Initiative funds for the project known as the Luna Green in New York City, or rather in Brooklyn, here in the city of New York, Kings County, of course. Good morning. Michelle's here.
Good morning. Great, thank you. Luna Green is the new construction of a 282-unit of affordable and supportive housing in Coney Island for seniors ages 62 plus with incomes between and 50% of AMI. This project will have 281 project-based vouchers from NYCHA. Just to give you a little bit of history, I'm sure you know, from the mid-1800s to 1960s, Coney Island was popular for its boardwalk and amusement park attractions with 3 main parks, including Luna Park. As part of the rezoning in 2009 and ongoing redevelopment effort led by New York City EDC, the underutilized land will be used to revitalize the area into a vibrant amusement park district again, while also increasing affordable housing and creating more year-round density and foot traffic to support neighborhood services and local businesses. This building will be the 3rd out of 6 buildings that we will be financing. The site is known as the Bath site because it was one of the largest public pools in New York City. The first 2 buildings, again, were financed by HFA. They're also affordable housing and supportive housing buildings. That's Raven Hall, which closed in 2016, and Surf Vets Place that closed in 2018. This building will be all electric and designed to Passive House standards and will receive a NYSERDA's Clean Energy Initiative Award. And that concludes my presentation. Thank
Great.
you.
Very good. It's a lot happening right around, all of these sites.
Yeah.
Since the rezoning and the Coney Island Local Development Corporation, EDC's involved, and
Yeah.
everybody else.
Yeah.
They've made a lot of
This is a good
progress.
project.
Yeah.
I was in one of the other buildings that's completed, and it's incredible. The apartments that they have a bunch of them look out the ocean, but they have ones that look out at the amusement
Yeah,
park
it's so
just
fun.
seem like child dream bedrooms that you could look out and
Look
see
at it.
like a Ferris wheel and
That's
like
fun.
an amusement park out the window.
Well, you
It's
hear
very
you hear the
special.
cyclone if you live too close to it. It's loud.
Yeah, we have such good windows that you can't hear.
Oh, of
but-
course, of course.
But it's a very special place out there. It's cool.
Yeah, and this is a good, in the materials is a good map that we're both looking at of the site.
Mm-hmm.
The Bath site in
Yeah.
particular. It's a little farther walk from the train for those seniors, but it's good. It'll be good housing in a great location, and there's a bus on Surf Avenue, I'm sure. Great, good to see this. Thank you very much, Michelle. Questions, observations, comments? Good. Lauren?
One question, Jen. When we look at sort of developer fees, I know, in this one, it's $82,000 a unit. And it's one building, it's 10.5%. I think the other 2 projects we approved around 12%. And some of them had 50 plus buildings to do versus, I'm just trying to think, is there
So there's
a linking between what the fees are and the complexity of the project?
so most of that fee is deferred based on performance. Their net paid developer fee is $30,800 a unit that they get at construction closing and permanent conversion. The rest is based on.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure.
But I think it's really not complexity to your question. I think whether you build 1 building or 10 buildings, it's just a percentage of the overall cost of the project generally. So for better or
15%.
worse, it's not related to complexity.
They're allowed a fee based on acquisition up to 10% and a fee based on rehab or construction costs up to 15%. So blended together, that works out to usually be between 10 and 12%
of total development cost.
Yeah.
That's the question is if basically prices have floated up on materials, right? Are we then inflating fees?
We're not.
No.
They want us to, but
It's
we're not.
No, just if it's floating to the cost of materials, then our fees are floating to the cost of.
As a percentage, but in a percentage in the total, but yeah.
Right. If it was a fixed thing, okay, great. They make X amount per unit, 25,000 per unit, that's fine. But if it's X percent of the total development, it would have floated up with materials as well.
Everything kind of does though. So in a percentage base, we're kind of maintaining the same proportions. But and not to be too sympathetic to developers, but there's a lot of pre-development work that they do.
I'm not disagreeing. That's why I was curious about the complexity versus the way it's calculated. Okay.
But it's something we're constantly sort of, mitigating.
Okay, thanks, James. Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Let's do it, Lauren.
Now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the Finance and Program Committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. The motions are carried and the resolutions adopted.
Good, thanks, everybody, and we You should go visit Luna Park. We can make a field trip, you know?
Yes, we should do our board meeting.
Watch a Cyclones game. And ride the Cyclone. But good. Good that they, by the way, it's good that it must be like in public domain that they can name the project for Luna Park, right? Luna Park must be a public, you know, like.
Luna Green?
Yeah, Luna Green, Luna Park, right? I guess that's where the name comes from, obviously. I suppose no one's getting in trouble for that. Number 5, resolutions of the Finance and Program Committee and of the HFA members authorizing and approving the issuance of tax exempt or taxable fixed or variable rate bonds in one or more bond series in an amount not to exceed $62,765,000, an amount not to exceed $58,145,544 in HFA sub. That's another big subsidy loan, isn't it? Subsidy funding. Big projects today for the project known as the Park Square 2 in Rochester, of course, in beautiful Monroe County. And Russell's going to come back. He's back already to talk about this project in downtown Rochester.
Great. Okay, so this is the acquisition and rehabilitation of a 200-unit, 21-story high-rise tower. It was originally built in 1974 under the HUD Section 236 and Mitchell-Lama programs, formerly known as Midtown Manor. The tower has substantial maintenance and capital needs that the previous owner had been unable to address. To help stabilize the property, both the agency and the Rochester Housing Authority are providing a total of 150 project-based Section 8 vouchers to the existing qualified tenants. The project is being acquired and developed by Conifer. They acquired and rehabilitated a similar high-rise Mitchell-Lama next door called Southeast Towers, which we financed back in 2019 and was successfully completed. Conifer will also construct a new 4-story building on an adjacent vacant lot, which will add another 40 units to the project. It'll be affordable to families with incomes at or below 80% of the AMI. Amenities will be shared between the two buildings, and that includes common area for management office, community room, the kitchenette, laundry facilities, outdoor seating, a fitness room, community center, and an outdoor courtyard. There is on-street parking, as well as an adjacent parking lot containing 52 spaces, all for residents. The existing building will qualify under the agency's moderate rehab criteria for existing buildings energy reduction, resulting in a 20% minimum reduction of energy use. And the new construction building will be an all-electric building meeting the Energy Star multifamily new construction ERI path. The rehab and the new construction are to be done simultaneously. They're expected to take about 18 months in total. All existing tenants will have a right to return to their apartments upon completion. Tenants for the new building will be selected through Conifer's management waiting list. Conifer has done this type of project before with their general contractor arm, LaChase, and their management arm. We feel they have the capacity and experience to coordinate this sort of complicated tenant relocation process along with the rehabilitation and new construction processes together. The project will remain affordable through a 40-year regulatory agreement under the Low-Income Housing Tax Credit Program, and they have a city pilot with the City of Rochester for another 30 years. So, thank you.
Russell, thanks very much. The Commissioner and I were looking at the images that are part of your helpful presentation. This is a really good location for the project. I mean, it's really a sweet spot of downtown Buffalo. Alas, there's a fair amount of undeveloped property in the area, surface parking lots, vacant lots, and
We
so
thought
on.
it was kind of, it was great that they were able to kind of take advantage of the vacant parcel to actually
For the
create
second
some-
building,
yeah,
for the new
second
construction.
building, yeah.
Right, and Conifer's a team we've worked with a lot, so.
Yes, they did. If you go to let's see, this image. So they did this building here. In the, it's not, you can't see it here because it looks nice. It's like reclad and it's, I don't know, blue and white and orange. Actually, I think it's orange also or something, but. And so then this building looking very 1970s-ish next to it was sort of an eyesore waiting, and now they'll come and I think they're going to reclad this one as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It'll conform with
the other one.
One hopes it leads to a little ground floor retail in and around the area, right? Because I think it's pretty quiet.
Does this have retail, the ground floor?
I'm thinking
It's
across.
kind of a funny location.
It's surrounded by a pretty busy
It's very
street.
dry, yeah, it's very.
Good. Any questions for Russell on this project in Buffalo? It's a big investment for us, but then again, it's a big project and it's part of, as you say, a kind of complex of buildings.
And we're in Rochester, by the way.
I'm sorry. This project, but they're like 45 minutes apart. People think they're so far apart. Buffalo and Rochester. Okay.
Potato.
Let's potato. Let's give Russell the support he needs so we can make these big investments in this important project with Conifer in Rochester.
So now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously answered for HFA and for the Finance and Program Committee, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolution is adopted.
Great, thank you. Let's go to 6, resolution of the Finance and Program Committee, HFA members, HTFC members authorizing and approving the issuance of tax-exempt or taxable fixed or variable rate bonds in one or more bond series in an amount not to exceed $30,335,000 and amount not to exceed $7,914,545 in HFA subsidy funding. Amazed there's any left, actually. An amount not to exceed $7,557,955 in Federal Housing Trust Fund program loan funds, and the making of an HTFC home for working families loan in the estimated amount of $4 million for the project known as Hudson Heights Apartments. This is in Stillwater, which is in Saratoga County. And Terrence is back at the table to walk us through this one.
Yep, Hudson Heights. So this is a project in vacant land in the town of Stillwater, next to bordering the city of Mechanicville. I mean, they call it a city. I don't know how big it is.
It was a city one time.
And so this is really between, the location is really between Albany and Saratoga Springs, probably 15 miles from Saratoga Springs and 25 miles from Albany. So we have not done a project, a rental affordable housing project in the past 10 years in this neighborhood. So this is the final phase of the Turning Point Planned Development District, which has already created more than 200 single-family homes and townhomes by other developers. So the project is going to have 10 two-story buildings with a total of 120 units. The affordability is ranging from 30 to 60% of AMI. It's going to be all electric, and it will meet the Energy Star multifamily new construction criteria. 12 units will be reserved for veterans. Amenities will include a 2,600 square feet community building, a fitness room, bike storage, and a laundry area. There will also be 203 parking spaces. So the co-developer is Vesta Corporation, which is also the management company. The other co-developer is Dakota Partners. This is the first project in New York State. They have done 2,000 units in affordable housing in the New England region. The GC is La Chase again. Key Bank will be the syndicator and also the letter of credit provider. That wraps up my presentation.
Great, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions on this project? If not, wait. Lauren has a question. You were allowed to have questions.
I just wanted to check something with Russell. There's an HTFC loan you need. It's all under the HFA, right?
It shouldn't, it's, yeah, this is the,
this
It's under the omnibus. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, sorry, we're all good.
When we, in our application process, do we ask people to assess suitability of geothermal or solar on the building? Like, I don't know. I'm just curious, because if we're going to all electric, I don't want to run into the infrastructure issue we had with the national grid. If we're gonna like end up doing all electric buildings and there's not enough electric running to some of these places, like to figure out how we can lighten the load on the, like whether through geothermal or other things may save us money in the long run, at least asking for suitability of those things.
Yeah, sustainability runs their review of those programs with, you know, through the sustainability unit. I know we're tracking the electric load letters much more earlier on in the process to make sure that we don't run into those kind of problems anymore. But yeah, that's definitely that's something our sustainability team does review.
Yeah, just like if it involved like putting more money into the project to do geothermal because it'll save us money on utilities later, especially on all electric, it may be worth an investment of our own money in the infrastructure aspects if we're going to be hit with the bill on the infrastructure stuff anyways.
Yeah, and we're doing it more earlier in the process now at the pre-application stage during our TA sessions. So we're trying to get ahead of that now more than we did in the past.
Okay.
We usually get a low ladder from the utility company before we close the deal.
All right. I think we're good. Any other questions? Thank you, James, for Terrence.
Then now before the HFA members and the HFA Finance and Program Committee are resolutions to be adopted that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA and for the Finance and Program Committee, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolutions adopted.
I note that the construction of this is LaChase, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've done a lot of projects with them over the years.
Yep, the developers are what people sometimes refer to as ex-cons. They are the former conifers. Some of them left conifers
Funny
and are
term.
now developers.
Well,
It's
I'll
not my
just,
term, I'm stealing it.
I,
Chase is their contracting entity.
this is a salute to Wayne LaChase, right? The longtime, I guess, chairman of the board now, but leader of that firm, who's one of the more civic-minded, supportive people in the whole capital region and also in Rochester. So anyway, important company, important partner to us here in this work.
Yep.
Let's go to number 7, which is resolution of HFA members authorizing and approving an amount not to exceed $2,595,000 in HFA subsidy funding for the project known as the Glens Falls Housing Authority redevelopment in the city of Glen Falls in Warren County and the city of Hudson Falls up in Washington County. And Russell, who's at the table, he never left, actually, stayed on so he could save his steps and walk us through this project. Russell.
Sure. This is a coming back for more money request. So not the most exciting or fun thing to do here, but anyway, here we are. November 2020, the members authorized financing of the Glens Falls Housing Authority redevelopment. These are 4 separate sites, 3 of which are high-rise towers for seniors, plus a family property. The Housing Authority partnered with Wilder Balter, the developer, to develop and renovate the properties. Wilder Balter's affiliate general contractor, Griffin Associates, coordinated the rehabilitation work. This was, of course, during the height of the COVID pandemic and its economic aftermath. The project wound up facing lots of issues with supply chain, material costs resulted in delays, increasing hard costs and related soft costs. This was particularly difficult on a large scale scattered site redevelopment such as this one that they were trying to do simultaneously. The problems were further exacerbated when a piece of the facade on one of the high-rise towers, Cronin Tower, broke off and fell to the sidewalk. No one was hurt. The scope of work had not contemplated structural facade repair to this tower. The collapse had exposed deteriorating conditions behind the facade that would not have otherwise been identified. An initial emergency repair was made in 2022, but ultimately the whole facade of the 9-story tower needed to be replaced. In addition, another tower, Stitchman Tower, required additional asbestos remediation, which required some additional logistics in terms of relocation of senior tenants, as I had to go through each wing to do the mitigation. Ultimately, the project in total was completed last October. They're now preparing, the buildings are all placed in service now. Everything's completed. They're looking to prepare for a permanent conversion sometime in the coming months. The final tally for all these overruns is about $7.8 million. Approximately $2.59 million in additional HFA subsidy is hereby requested to cover a portion of those cost overruns. This additional subsidy will be structured as a loan. It'll be expected to be paid back in full over a 15-year term. The cost of the overruns balance will be covered by a reduction of the developer fee by about $1.9 million, along with a further deferral of their existing fee of $800,000. The project is also looking to seek a waiver from the tax credit syndicator's downward adjuster that was triggered by the construction delays. So we're actually hoping for an additional $400,000 from that, which we would apply to reduce our subsidy. So that's Glens Falls.
Okay, understood. Sometimes this happens. Very good. Any questions for Russell? Well, we'll come to the rescue here, Lauren.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Terrific. Number 8, resolution of the HFA members authorizing an increase of the allocation of 4% as of right low-income housing tax credits from an annual amount of $575,000 up to $697,250. It's a big increase, which will yield an estimated $761,397 of annual allocation over a 10-year period. for the project known as the Reverend William M. James Apartments in New York City in New York County. And Russell's going to walk us through this one. You like to bring us things that, start out with a certain amount of subsidy or an allocation of credits, and then all of a sudden, here you are again. Inflation sweeping the nation.
Yes.
Russell at the table.
I get the weird ones.
You get the weird ones. But you have solutions. The good thing is, you don't bring us a problem. You bring us a problem with a solution.
Exactly. Now I can have a new pen to sign them off on them too. So the agency's qualified action plan, the QAP as we call it, for the allocation of 4% tax credits that come as of right when we issue our tax-exempt volume cap bonds, it requires the board's approval. As when you do your funding recommendations for our bond issuances, you always mention the tax credit issuances as well. We also require, the QAP also requires that the board approve any waiver requested on this annual cap of these credits, which our cap is currently at $575,000 per unit. In the case of this particular project, Reverend William M. James Apartments, the agency did not actually issue any tax-exempt bonds. We were not really involved in this project. The bonds were issued by the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York, DASNY. However, we are the authorized tax credit allocator for the state on these bonds. So any request for volume cap bonds comes to us for the tax credits, and then any waivers would need to be requested through the agency. So this project, like some of the ones that I've presented in the past, has experienced delays and cost increases. In this particular case, a non-performing general contractor needed to be replaced. So the project came to us to request a waiver on our cap in order to provide additional tax credit equity. So by going up to $697,250, coupled with the 30% basis boost that the project is qualified for by virtue of its qualified census tract, they can generate additional $761,397 per unit in equity going into the project. So that's why I'm here.
Russell, halfway through that, you said something that caught my attention, which is because these are DASNY bonds, and they've got to come to us.
For the tax credit allocation, yeah.
For the tax, well, because they're not authorized to do the tax credit allocation.
Right.
But they can, and I noticed in the write-up that they don't believe in any kind of they don't wrap those bonds like the way we do with MIC. Morgan, they don't insure their bonds.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that either. I'm curious as to why DASNY wouldn't have a facility for insuring their debt and lowering borrowing costs, right?
Yeah, it's a good question.
I don't know. There's a little line in the materials. But anyway, so this is a case where they issued the bonds for this project, and now they're coming knocking on our door. Is that Robert Rodriguez now?
This is sort of as like a one-off. I haven't really seen this since I've been here. This seemed like maybe a aberration.
I don't know. What does Jesse think? Jesse, is this a case of like us helping out DASNY? Because we're okay with that if you tell us we should do it.
I support it.
All right. Chris, you're in another agency. You're over at tax. You okay with helping out DASNY?
No comment.
I put my friend on the spot. Oh, boy. Russell, thank you. No, I still don't understand the details of that relationship, but that's okay. Not my business. And we can certainly, if you all think it's a good idea to increase the allocation per unit for the tax credit in this amount, let's do it. Questions or comments for Russell? Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
That's great. Thank you very much. And thank you, Russell, for walking us through that kind of unique project. Number 9 is a resolution of the HFA members approving the making of 3 AHOP or AHOP subsidy loans by HFA for projects previously reviewed and approved by the HTFC, totaling an amount of $4 million. And Madeline is going to magically
Hi,
appear.
everybody.
Oh, there she is.
Hi.
There she is. Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning. So the administration of the AHOP program, the Affordable Homeownership Opportunity Program, is going to be transitioning from the Housing Trust Fund Corporation over to HFA. And so we have approved a number of projects at HTFC already. And so we're going to seek approval again from HFA so that we can proceed with final due diligence, construction loan closings, and everything like that. In order for HFA to make an approval, we have to make sure that our projects have gone through full environmental review. That's just a little bit of a procedural difference between HTFC. So these 3 projects have been approved by the HTFC board and have now completed their environmental review. So the 3 projects are both Meadow Trail, which is being developed by Adirondack Roots up in Essex County. That's a 4-unit project, and then 2 projects from INHS up in the Ithaca area. There is a Trumansburg townhouse program and a program for downtown Ithaca and neighboring town Freeville, and those are 10 and 7 units respectively. All 3 of these projects are actually going to be community land trust projects, which is kind of interesting and exciting. And so the total amount of subsidy is $4 million, and we would like approval to proceed with these so we can finish up the loan process and get to construction loan closing late spring, early summer.
All right. Happy to help. You know, we go from a gigantic project to 3 very small projects, but happy to help out, of course. And
just as important.
And this is a reminder of like how much work goes into something relatively small, you know, modest in scope. Although, you know, if you've been to Keene, it's a pretty small town, so every house matters there. Everybody knows everybody.
Yes.
And Trumansburg's not too big either. But let's if there are no questions on this one, Lauren, let's do it.
Okay. Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great. Number 10 is a resolution of the HFA members authorizing and approving the making of a small buildings loan program subsidy loan in the estimated amount of $3 million and a clean energy initiative subsidy loan in an amount of $750,000 for 5835 Unicorn Drive. Like that address, in Cambria, Niagara County. Madeline's going to help us understand this too. Thank you.
Great. So this project is actually the gut rehab of a formerly senior housing authority project that's been closed and vacant for about 5 or 6 years. So we're excited to revitalize it. This developer is a 2-time small buildings program developer. We recently closed on their first project. And this project will have 30 units, and it will be affordable at 65% AMI. And that rent will include all utilities, inclusive of high-speed internet service. So we're excited about that offering. The developer and the again, like I said, is a Good Carbon Company. They're doing their second small building project. They closed on one in Buffalo earlier this year. And the scope will include, because we're using CEI funds, this is the first project where small buildings will be combined with CEI. So we've been working with Sam Pierce and her team on bringing those 2 things together, but it'll be fully electrified. It'll have geothermal heat pumps. It'll have EV charging stations, rooftop solar. So we'll get to near net zero, not quite, but near net zero. And we're excited about this project and happy to answer questions.
Great project. The only question is 26 EV charging stations out of 52, and it's a lot of EV charging stations for one project.
Yeah, how do they size that, Madeline? How do they get to like 26 EV charging stations? Is that?
I do not know the answer to that question. Okay. I'm sorry. No. I can follow up on it. I'm not actually sure.
I mean, it's great if they help you get to everyone converting, but like, you know.
I assume somebody must size that for something, right?
Maybe they have a partner who has a minimum size. Like, you know, when you have to wire up an EV charging station, you can't do it for 3. It doesn't make a lot of sense. No,
right.
Maybe,
so and they're working with I think it's Sustainable Comfort is the consultant here, if I'm not mistaken, and this has been reviewed and has been done in partnership with the consultant working with the CEI and the sustainability team. So I'm happy to follow up on it, but I honestly don't know.
Thank you.
Good. If there are no further questions, Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, thanks, everybody. Now we have number 11, a resolution of HFA members authorizing approval of making of a small buildings loan program subsidy loan in the estimated amount of $1,590,000 for 2 Cross Street in Beacon in Dutchess County. And Madeline will do this one as well.
Yep. So 2 Cross Street will use, like you said, almost $1.6 million in small building loan funds for a project that's a total of $11 million development cost. It's a new construction of a 3-story mixed-use elevator building that'll be integrated with the gut rehab of an adjacent existing 2-story building. It's along the western end of Main Street, which is super booming. It's one of the last vacant lots on that whole stretch. I live a couple of blocks away. There will be 18 apartments in this project, as well as 5,000 square feet of commercial space. Like, it's right on the main commercial drag, so there'll be ground floor commercial. The residential rents will be affordable at an average of 80% AMI, and there's a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. 7 of the apartments will be reserved for homeless frail elderly through an ESHI award, which will be managed by Hudson River Housing, who will also serve as the property manager for the project overall. The developer is 2 Cross Street LLC, whose principals have not previously worked with the agency, but who are local developers and have done a number of development projects in Beacon over the past 10 years, including several others on Main Street. In addition to the ESHI award, there is about $1.8 million from the Dutchess County Housing Creation and Preservation Program, local home funds, CPC is providing construction and permanent loan financing, and there is a pending application to ESD's Mid-Hudson Momentum Fund, which we're waiting on an announcement. Right now, it's a permanent, it's modeled as a permanent equity contribution. I'm happy to answer questions. We're excited about this project. To bring affordable units to a place with a lot of housing pressures is exciting for us. So that's it.
Great project. Thanks, Madeline. Any questions for Madeline on this? I just, did you say that you live in Beacon?
I do, yeah. Just
lucky you. So, but the professional question, not a personal question, is how do we make Newburgh the next Beacon?
We're working on it.
Or the next Saugerties.
That's where I used to work. Yeah.
Or the next Saugerties. Or the, I think Newburgh is just a continuing challenge, right?
Yeah, it's difficult, but there are lots of good things going on there.
That's what I'm hearing. I guess maybe I should compare it more to Kingston, same side of the river. But it's like the Kingston, how do Newburgh lags, right? And a lot has happened in Kingston. For you're off the map over there. I mean, off the charts in Beacon. That's fabulous. Yeah. But there's some very serious, downtown entrenched poverty and joblessness and in Newburgh, and it's hard, right? Economically, and Kingston maybe serves as an example. Maybe it's a better sized city compared to Beacon, but let's not forget Newburgh, I guess is my point. Lauren, let's do this, Lauren.
Now before the HFA members is a resolution to be adopted that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for HFA, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, great. Thanks again, Madeline. We're going to move to the AHC consent item, which is number 12 on the agenda. It's a resolution authorizing award of grant funds for certain projects. If there aren't any questions about the menu of projects this month, we'll just go to you, Lauren.
Okay. Now before AHC is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and seconds previously recorded, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you very much, Lauren. The next item is shared information item. It's 13, current agency procurement and contracts in the lobbying restricted period. Always important to review and be aware of that. And that, I believe, concludes Although it doesn't, I don't really have a formal conclusion here. What do you want to do?
Well, we are now
kinda
going
done.
to, well, we're going to close out, we're going to do a little bit of a dance here.
Oh, I know
We're
what-
going to
I know
close
what we're
out the HTFC and AHC meetings. So I'd like to ask for a motion to close those, to adjourn those
So
two
moved.
meetings.
Before we do that, could I just give a little update?
Please.
It's B. So Justin and I had a preliminary conversation about a NYPA kind of overview for the agency. And we were supposed to meet and then something happened. I couldn't make the meeting. So Justin and I are meeting on the 24th to talk about the best approach to bring, kind of share with the agency NYPA's view and vision. So I did follow up. I just wanted to make sure that that got on the record before we closed.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, B. Super helpful. Thanks for the follow-up. So do you want to explain, Lauren, what we're doing?
Yes,
We're gonna close
yeah,
down
we're
a
doing-
couple of the meetings and then in suspended animation, do a couple together.
Right. So we are going to close now the HTFC and AHC board meetings. We are going to leave the HFA board meeting open for the moment, and we will open the SONYMA board. They'll overlap, and we are going to request an executive session in that time.
Right.
And then we'll close HFA. So.
And
we're
I
at
just
that
got, I
juncture.
got a text from my friend, Professor Ford, who's having a little subway delay because I think there's some issues out there. But he thinks he'll be here on time, and time is 10:45.
Yeah.
I will note that Director Freeman is here early, as usual, despite his lengthy commute. But we can take a little coffee break if people like, because we have 5 minutes
But
or so.
before we do that.
But we can't,
can
because
I
Lauren's
please
got
have the motion and the second to close
Yes, I'm
HTFC
sorry.
and
So
AHC?
moved. So moved.
Okay. And
Second from the commissioner. All right.
Okay, so assuming the first and second previously entered for HTFC and AHC, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motion is carried and the meeting adjourned. And I just note that the next meeting for HTFC and AHC is on June 27th.
And what we're doing now, by keeping HFA open,
is still
and we'll
open.
open SONYMA when Professor Ford arrives.
joins us.
Because Dave Capel not coming.
Dave Capel
Joyce
is not
just so
coming.
just so
Joyce is
James
not
knows.
here. I don't know.
Capel knew he wasn't coming. That one we
Yeah,
knew
that
about
was
when
when we knew
he
in
told us
advance.
last month. Joyce is under the weather, just texted us this morning, was going to be sitting next to you, but she's not coming. Professor Ford is on his way, and Sadie had a conflict today, was never going to be here.
Right.
Right, which is good, because the last item, she would have had to recuse herself. You noticed that, right? CPC was the, yeah. And B thankfully is here. Without B, I don't think we'd be meeting today.
Correct.
Yes.
The glue.
Yes.
B has a perfect, she has a perfect attendance record.
I'm glad to
I
be
really think-
valuable to the group.
I think you have a perfect attendance record, B.
Okay, so we're only waiting on Professor Ford.
We're
and then
waiting
we'll
on
begin.
Professor Ford, and then we'll open SONYMA.
Yeah.
And
And we're going to open with an executive session
And then we
to
will,
discuss something that came to our attention at the very end of the last meeting, or the morning of the last meeting,
and
when
then,
we're all together, and then we'll do our business for SONYMA, which today is really the Mortgage Insurance Fund, right?
yes.
Providing some insurance wraps on the projects we just looked at.
Yeah.
Should the director should the
and we
members
will
so
close,
desire.
we will close HFA after that, so you're free to.
Oh, that's right. He gets to stick around.
Yeah, James is the only one.
James
who-
gets to
who,
stick around. Well,
Is not.
and
is not
we
overlapping.
never let our Albany friends. Jesse doesn't get to leave.
No.
And
I
just
can't believe you didn't
Chris,
comment yet on
Chris,
Beard.
I know, I'm waiting for the right
waiting?
moment. I didn't recognize the guy sitting opposite the table from Chris.
That youthful.
That
lad.
youthful lad who somehow stumbled across his razor and cleaned up his act in post-budget fashion.
The budget got enacted, the beard got shaved.
Do you do that every year, Jesse?
Not always, no.
Okay.
So.
And when does it start? Like a budget dropping in January?
No, I start when our process starts, which is usually around mid-year, so October, when we do our internal process.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Well, he's revealed that he's not a Rangers fan, because the Rangers obviously have a very important game tonight in their series against Carolina Hurricanes, and hockey players are notorious for when the playoffs begin, you don't shave.
Oh.
And you could go, I mean, you go 28 games, you go more than a month playing hockey in the playoffs. If you you have 4 7-game series and played 28 games, you'd have quite a beard if you were a hockey player, but clearly not a Ranger fan, or you would have kept the beard until whenever.
Unfortunately, I'm a baby-faced Sabres fan, so we have not had that problem in
you don't have to worry.
some time.
You'll be clean shaven for a while, my friend. No offense to the Pagulas or all our friends in Buffalo and Rochester who support the Sabres. Wait, they're bringing back Lindy Ruff, right? Aren't they?
Correct. Yeah.
You're bringing back Lindy Ruff, and we gotta get San Filippo in on this conversation. That's crazy.
Yeah, another tour of duty.
Another tour of duty. It's amazing. All right, I'm gonna go refresh my coffee. I don't know what you guys get to do, but and let me check my phone because, like I say, Wallace had been texting me his whereabouts. He said, "I'll text you when I get to Grand Central."
You're muted. Just want to make sure that it's intentional.
Sorry.
Yep,
I think
sorry,
Lauren
wait,
was muted there during the break, but hopefully you can hear her now.
Could you hear? Do I need to repeat anything?
I can
I
hear you
heard
now. You're good.
nothing. Okay, we're going to open the Sunny May board meeting. So I ask for a motion to open the Sunny May board meeting
So moved.
and a second. And we'll now ask for individual votes from each Sunny May board member. I will accept the previous votes of Chairman Adams, Ms. Wisniewski, and Mr. Olzak, all of whom voted to open up the earlier HTFC AHC meeting, HFA HTFC meeting, sorry. And for Sunny May, Professor Ford and Mr. Freeman.
Can you all hear?
Our mic is not on either. Please go off.
It's weird,
I think the battery died on that one. Maybe we should move.
Okay, we
my
can move.
battery died also.
What about that one?
That one died.
Is that one alive?
No.
I texted Lil and said we had some battery issues.
Okay.
Yeah, do you want to take one and ask them?
Ooh, it's a fancy battery.
I think they're rechargeable.
It must be, yeah. Pretty cool.
Maybe we could just do a mic check and just pick up. James, do you want to say Director Freeman?
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear?
Hello, Val. We've got one down here that works.
Oh, here they come.
Here comes some batteries. That works. That's working.
Sounds good.
I think really just for over
Maybe,
there.
yeah,
We're fine
for
with
Betsy.
there. We need one for Betsy and one for the board member side.
Betsy, and then here's one if you have a.
I think we're all good on this one.
Yeah, that one's out too. See that?
They conspired all
The
that.
sign of a long meeting.
Okay.
James,
we're
if you
good,
just speak, can they hear you?
Hello.
Jesse, Chris, can you hear us okay?
Yep.
Great. All right, we're going to add a couple more microphones into the side of the table. Lauren, can you continue?
So I'd like to continue to open the Mortgage Insurance Committee meeting. I'll ask for a motion
So moved.
and a second, please.
I'll do
Second.
That's you.
Thank you. And we'll accept the prior votes of Chairman Adams, Ms. Wisniewski, and Mr. Olzak.
All right, good. So we've opened up our Sunny May board and the Mortgage Insurance Committee of Sunny May. And now we'll go into executive session, which bridges over between HFA and Sunny May, which is a good thing. So Lauren, can you help us with that?
I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to go into executive session pursuant to Section 105F of the Open Meetings Law to discuss the financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person, and Section 105C, information regarding a current or future investigation.
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, please.
Second.
And all in favor? Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
So we are going into executive session with the HFA and the SONYMA.
Which means we have to kind of.
So Lillian,
Yeah, Lillian, let us know when we are.
for a motion and a second from each board, from HFA and SONYMA, to go back into public session.
So moved.
If I get a second,
Second.
that's for SONYMA and for HFA. Okay. Thank you. We are back in public session. And I'd just like to say that there were no votes taken in the executive session. And if I may keep going,
Please.
there being no further business for HFA, I'd like to ask for a motion and a second to adjourn the HFA meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Assuming the first and seconds previously entered for the HFA board, all in favor of adjourning, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The motions are carried. The HFA meeting is adjourned. And I would just note that our next HFA meeting is on June 13th.
June 13th. So start to note, people, we got 2 dates in June coming up.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to take up SONYMA board items. Welcome again, SONYMA board members.
And Mike is here.
The first item is in the minutes. There are the minutes, which are in the board book and shall be deemed approved unless any objections from directors. Everybody good with the minutes from our last meeting? Good. Bye, Chris. Thank you. Take care. Number 2, resolution SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Company approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $2,710,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan. We should say goodbye to James. James left as well, right?
Yes.
First mortgage loan for the 5835 Unicorn Drive project, which is in Cambria up in Niagara County. Mike, can you do this? And just in general today, and I'm sorry to do this to you, but you can tell we've kind of gone over. So if we can get the brief version of the projects,
Sure.
that would be good.
So this project comprises extensive rehab of 30 affordable all-electric units. Rents are at 65% AMI. However, eligibility is up to 75% of tenant income. There's a $3 million HFA PLP submortgage and a 30-year HFA regulatory agreement. The insured loan amount is $90,000 per unit, which equals 36% of the project's total development cost of $254,000 per unit. And there's $1.2 million in developer equity.
Great. Thank you, Mike. We looked at this earlier, the HFA piece. Anybody have questions for Mike on the project? Good, looks good. Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and the second previously entered, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
All right, thanks, everybody. Number 3, resolutions of SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving a SONYMA has been requested to provide 75% mortgage insurance on a $3,900,000 CPC permanent first mortgage loan for the 2 Cross Street project, which is in Beacon.
So this,
Mike, back to you.
This project comprises development of 18 units, including 7 supportive units and 6 low-income units. There's a $1.6 million HFA PLP subloan, and there is a 30-year HFA regulatory agreement. And there's $1.6 million in Dutchess County Preservation Grant and another $200,000 Dutchess County Home Grant. And there's $103,000 in ESHI rent subsidies pursuant to a contract with OMH. The insured loan amount is $217,000 per unit, which equals 35% of the project's total development cost of $611,000 per unit. And what makes this a little different is there's only 75% insurance rather than 100%, because CPC will sell 100% participation in this loan to the Methodist Pension Fund.
I like the pictures. Mike, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good project in Beacon. Any questions for Mike on this project? Let's insure this mortgage. Lauren?
Okay. Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Committee. All in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Great, thank you, Mike, for that. And Lauren and everybody from Beacon, I think we're going to move to the Upper West Side. Number 4, resolution of SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $5,025,000 enterprise permanent first mortgage loan for the new Senate residence project, which is in Manhattan. Mike?
This is good because we haven't seen enterprise in quite a while. There's another enterprise loan coming up next month. And this project comprises the rehab of 136 SRO units, all of which are restricted to tenants up to 60% of AMI. There is $548,000 per year in rent subsidies and supportive service funding from HUD's Operations Renewal and Haven Renewal Program. And this also is new to us. The project is owned by Goddard Riverside, a well-regarded not-for-profit on the Upper West Side that currently operates 5 supportive projects with 611 units. The insured loan amount is $37,000 per unit, which equals 20% of the project's total development cost of $188,000 per unit.
Mike, thank you. And there's a nice picture in the materials of this elegant building. And Goddard Riverside, I think we've done a lot of projects with them over the years. Great organization. Questions for Mike on this one? All right, let's give him some insurance. Lauren?
Okay, now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Next one is 5, resolutions of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $6,420,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for the Park Square 2 project up in Rochester. Mike, back to you.
So this project comprises rehab of 200 existing all low-income units and construction of 40 additional low-income units. 150 of the 240 units will be covered by Section 8. 120 units will have New York State Housing Trust Fund Corporation project-based vouchers, and 30 units will have Rochester Housing Authority project-based vouchers. There's a 30-year pilot with the city of Rochester. It's being developed by Conifer, which has developed over 14,000 units of affordable housing. The loan amount is $27,000 per unit, which equals only 5% of the project's total development cost of $497,600 per unit.
All right, thank you, Mike. Questions from anyone on this project in Rochester?
Quick question. The Section 8 recipients, are they new or current Section 8 participants?
These are mostly not, this is an occupied building, right?
Yeah, they're current.
They're already occupied?
Yes.
With the Section 8 individuals there?
They're getting so this would be a contract on the building, and tenants would then have their rent adjusted down, so they would only be paying 30% of their income towards rent. Okay. If they were paying more than that otherwise.
Great.
Sorry, Mike. I didn't talk
Thanks, James. Thanks, Mike. Okay, Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the Mortgage Insurance Committee is a resolution that was transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolution adopted.
Thank you, everyone. Number 6, we're going to take up items that require SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee action and SONYMA Board action. So 6 is resolutions of the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee and of the SONYMA Board recommending and approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $7,080,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for the Hudson Heights Apartments project in Stillwell, Saratoga County. So now we need all of our SONYMA directors on board. Mike?
So this project comprises the construction of 120 all low-income units, 20 of which will be at 30% of AMI. There's a 30-year pilot with the town of Stillwater, has both federal and state low-income housing tax credits. It's being developed by the Vesta Corporation, which has been in business since '98 and has developed or rehabbed more than 20,000 units of affordable housing. The insured loan amount is $59,000 per unit, which equals 13% of the project's total development cost of $471,500 per unit.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any questions for Mike on this project up in Saratoga County? Hudson Heights. Well, Lauren, let's do it.
Okay. Now before the Mortgage Insurance Committee and the SONYMA Board are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Mortgage Insurance Company and the Board, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
The motion is, thank you. The motion is carried and the resolution adopted. I'm
Thank
getting
you.
out ahead of you all in your
No,
voting.
that's right.
Sorry.
Thanks, everybody. We have two more projects that require approval both by committee members and board members. 7, resolution to the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee and to the SONYMA Board recommending and approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $56,940,000 HFA permanent first mortgage loan for a project in Coney Island called Luna Green. The Luna Green project, Brooklyn, Kings County. Mike?
So this project comprises the construction of 282 all low-income supportive units for seniors. All of the units will have Section 8 project-based vouchers. There is $425,000 annually in ESHI subsidy, and the supportive services will be provided by Riseboro Community Partners, a well-known and well-regarded not-for-profit.
Good, that's great, Mike. Thank you for that. We looked at this earlier because of that substantial HFA mortgage loan.
Yes.
And it's great to see, the ongoing development, especially of affordable housing in Coney Island, right by the boardwalk and Keith Van Park and the cyclone and the whole thing, and the beach and the pier.
Yes.
Nice place to be, except in the winter. Any questions for Mike on this? Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee and the SONYMA Board are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motions are carried and the resolutions adopted.
Good, thanks, everyone. Number 8, resolution to the SONYMA Mortgage Insurance Committee and to the SONYMA Board recommending approving 100% mortgage insurance on a $7,220,000 HFA permanent forced mortgage loan for a project in Kingston called the Golden Hill Project. That's, of course, Ulster County. Mike, back to you.
This project comprises the construction of 164 all low-income units, including 48 supportive housing units. The supportive housing units will be funded through an ESHI agreement with the New York State Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance. There's a 30-year pilot with the city of Kingston, and it's being developed by Penrose Holding, which has been in business since 1971 and has developed over 27,000 units of rental housing, and Family of Woodstock, a well-regarded not-for-profit in Ulster County, will provide the ESHI supportive services. The insured loan amount is $44,000 per unit, which equals 8% of the project's total development cost of $534,000 per unit.
Mike, thank you very much. An important project.
Yes.
Questions for Mike on this one?
I like that it's a former jail.
Yes, yes.
And they're actually putting persons who were victims of domestic violence in with seniors, which I always am for. So that's a great project.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a great reuse of a county facility, a jail. Lauren, let's do it.
Now before the SONYMA Mortgage Committee and the SONYMA Board are resolutions that were transmitted in connection with this item. Assuming the first and second previously entered for the Merge Insurance Committee and the board, all in favor, please say aye.
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 The motion is carried and the resolutions are adopted.
Great, thank you.
Mike, thank you for your presentations. And sorry to have you do the brief versions, but in the interest of time, it was very helpful.
No problem.
Thank you very much. And thanks for answering our questions about them too. Good projects, and I hope that works out. Now, actually, Mike, don't go away. I just realized I want to ask you or make an observation about SONYMA surtax collections because I have to follow the agenda though. The chairman says the next items are informational items and they're listed as items 9 and 10 on today's agenda. So they are the current agency procurements and the lobbying law restricted period. Always need to mention that. Remind everybody, take a look at that list of procurements. And then, yes, the MIF activity report for April, because, hey, April 1 is the start of the new fiscal year, state fiscal year, right? So we have the statute year, as I guess you call it. And so we have an encouraging development. I just wanted to, discuss with you briefly. If in April 24, surtax, the SONYMA surtax revenue is about $9 million, 8.9 million. It's gone up for the first time in a long time, right? So we're up, tell me I'm wrong in reading this wrong, to $9.7 million for April 25. This is a good thing.
April 24.
Well, 24, statute year 25.
Right,
Yeah.
yes.
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 I mean, let's look at April. It was $21 million in 23, dropped like a rock to $9 million with high interest rates and much less activity, right? This is where the surtax comes from, right? The mortgage recording tax.
Yes.
So, and now it's, again, it's just month over month, but we're not back at 21 million, no way, but at least we're ahead of where we were a year ago, year over year.
Yes.
Yeah.
You've got 11 months to go.
Yes, it's hard to tell from
You've got
1
11
month.
months to go, and we hope transactions pick up in the state of New York for all
Yes.
sorts of good reasons,
Yeah.
even in this interest rate environment.
They might.
And they might, and then we would have more revenue into
Right.
your,
Because I think people have been waiting for rates to go down,
and they're not.
and they're not. So I think people are plunging in.
People are plunging in. Well, in any case, I just wanted to point that out. I was encouraged that at least we're not, below
Yes.
where we were a year ago.
Right.
Yes.
It's nowhere near where it used to be.
Yeah, we were short for a while. Is that surtax still at 1.8%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, just broad brushstrokes, because it's all here in the report, but in fiscal year 23, the surtax generated $181 million, which we used to underwrite this insurance, right? And in 24, it had dropped to 107, right? It almost, not quite half, but what's that, 80%? It had really, from 180 million to 107 million. Oh,
Yeah.
that's for fiscal. Now, we're starting the new fiscal year. We're halfway into May. And let's see, maybe it starts to rebuild. Let's hope.
One consequence of this is we used to have excess balance.
Yeah.
And when the budget required the MIF to transfer money to HHAC and the Housing Trust Fund Corporation, half of it came from excess balance in the special account.
Right.
And only half of it came out of the corpus of the project account. Now, the whole 101 million will come out of the project account.
You will have nothing to give.
Right, there's no excess balance.
There's no excess
so-
balance, right?
And that'll be on the agenda next month.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you since you're at the table, and that was part of the materials for today, I thought I'd point that out and end on an optimistic note. Thank you, Mike. Before we close,
Was there any follow-up information for Russell regarding the individuals upstate who were running into a housing problem, where we were providing additional funds for them? The roughly 41 individuals that
Jim,
were.
what project?
Sorry, which project was that?
It was one that Russell.
Russell
did
was
last
here before,
month.
that's why.
Yeah. I gotta look it up again. That's the one where they were some of them were potentially being evicted.
Oh, Casa Pasiva in Brooklyn?
That's it.
Right.
It was in Brooklyn though, right?
Yes.
Or are you talking about it upstate? Maybe, or maybe I have it wrong.
No, the Brooklyn one. The Brooklyn one.
I will have them at next month's meeting. I'll have Russell give an sorry, I should have done that this month. Have him provide an update on the
Casa Pasiva.
Yeah.
Are they passiva, are they passive or not? Because there were some rent delinquencies, right? As I recall, this is the one where
People are not
some
paying their
long-term
rents
rent,
for
people
very
weren't
long.
paying rent. And the operator, not-for-profit, good community group, was gonna, maybe evict some people. And there was general concern about that.
It didn't sound like maybe last meeting, yeah.
Well, like,
So, you know.
probably.
Yeah.
So, you know, we
Yeah,
don't
can,
know.
Can I just add, this is a small editorial item,
Yeah, let's
but
get wrestled up.
I was looking at the minutes and it should read for my name that I'm representing the majority leader of this New York State Senate. And a Roman numeral 2 would be nice.
Pardon me?
Roman numeral 2, my name.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we will make those corrections in the
Don't
final.
get confused with my
Absolutely.
son or my father.
No, we don't want to do that. I'm sorry that happened.
Good correction. Any other corrections for the minutes while Lauren is here, because she can make these corrections?
I can make sure that happens.
Right.
All right.
The motion to designate a $10,000 grant to each board member, we can put that in there also.
Only an executive session.
While we're
Where no
at it.
votes are taken. Anything else?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, then. Let's have a motion to close up the
So then there
party.
being no further business for the Mortgage Insurance Committee or the SONYMA Board, I'd like for motions and seconds to adjourn those meetings.
Moved.
Second.
Thank you. Assuming the first and second previously entered, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Aye. All
The
right.
motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank
and,
you.
Thank you,
The
V.
next meeting is June 13th with HFA.
Where's your lunch? Anywhere good?
No, in my office.
Thank you.
It's like a conference room.
Faculty lunch in the conference room?
You know, it's a thing I started because I arrived at LaGuardia during COVID. I couldn't be faculty. They were teaching online. So it's not just a potluck. I get a plate of sandwich.